Hi everyone, this is MAG on the Young Gamer channel. Today we're going to be talking about the game Automation Empire, developed and published by Dog Hoggler. The objective of the game is fairly simple. You mine for raw materials, you refine the raw materials into a more expensive commodity, you package up the commodity ready for shipping out, you ship it out in transportation, and as it leaves the map you get a profit. You're measured on the value of the items that you're shipping and also the weight of the items. However, you are taxed on the hardware that you use to mine for and refine the goods, and therefore you have to ensure that the profit you make from shipping them out always exceeds the amount of taxation that you pay. As the game progresses, you unlock additional hardware in order to expand your production lines, and you're able to combine commodities together to make even more valuable commodities. You can ship them out initially by trucks, later by train, and in the end game by rocket. When you start the game you have an option of various maps that you can work from, and as you progress through the maps you can unlock different maps. In order to unlock new machinery, you need a combination of research points, which are achieved by researching samples of the raw materials and the commodities that you produce, and by hitting production targets measured in the weight of cargo that you can ship out over a 3-month period. The challenge is to make your operation as efficient as possible. I've been playing the game now for 20 hours, and in general it's been fun, at least certainly in the beginning. However, it quickly becomes a little bit tedious. The process of gathering raw materials is pretty much the same regardless of the resource. You have a drilling rig, a tank, and a means of transporting the material to the area from which you intend to refine it. Later on in the game, you can unlock the oil nodding donkey or the drilling unit. However, other than this, the process of getting it to the refining area is exactly the same. Tank into a minecart. The animations, however, are fantastic, an awful lot of fun. Initially you transport the raw materials directly to the transport area and you ship them off the map and get paid. Once you've earned a bit more money, you can then build a factory. Inside the factory you can put machinery such as a crate machine for packaging the materials and a refiner for turning the materials into more expensive commodities. However, similar to the process for gathering materials, the process of refining and packaging remains the same regardless of the commodity. So for gold, for coal, and indeed for oil, you still need to process it through the same process train. So once you've settled on an efficient and effective process train, you just have to keep repeating over and over again for each of the commodities or each of the raw materials that you're bringing in. Later on in the game you can unlock a combiner, and the combiner takes 2 of the refined materials and creates a third material, usually heavier, so you get easier to hit your production targets, and more valuable, so you earn more money. However, just like the process train, the process for combining materials is the same regardless of the resource that you've gathered. So again, once you've settled on a effective combining process, you just repeat and repeat and repeat. The saving grace once again though is the animation. Here you can see that I'm using claws to grab crates and transport them over an overhead gantry system directly out to the trucks. Initially in the game you use drones. The drones are, shall we say, quite stupid, and they will wander around the map. There's no way of assigning them to a particular factory or assigning them to a particular commodity. They will just go wherever they want to go, which unfortunately means that as your process system grows and as your factories grow, drones become more and more pointless. However, by that point you should be using the claw and the overhead gantry systems. Another issue with the game is that resources never deplete, so you could never mine all of the resources. They just produce indefinitely. Also, if you sell any of your equipment, you get the same price back that you paid for it. So there's no incentive to build machinery and then try your best to maintain it. You can simply sell it and recoup all of the costs. The maps are large and look fantastic. However, moving around them takes an inordinate amount of time. I'm not sure why the scroll is so slow. Unfortunately, the tech tree is quite small. In fact, it could probably best be described as a tech sapling. However, the amount of tech points and effort required to unlock is well balanced, so you do get a sense of achievement once you finally unlocked new machinery. The game I've been playing has been pretty much bug-free, and any bugs I have encountered have been very small and haven't impacted my enjoyment of the game. There have been a couple of things though that I've found most irritating. The first one is factories and the building itself. Once you've planted the building and built the building, you can't adjust the size. You can't expand or retract the size of the building, which means that if you, particularly in the early parts of the game, are still finding your feet and how much space you actually require inside a factory, you can sometimes find that you've built them far too small, or, irritatingly, just a little bit too small, or far too big. And my understanding is that the bigger you build them, the more taxation you pay over time. The other irritation is that once you start putting equipment down and developing process trains, if they're not put in exactly the right position that you need them, then you cannot simply move them. You have to delete the whole lot and start again. It would be nice to have had an opportunity or the ability just to be able to simply move equipment rather than delete it and rebuild it. I've also been reading reviews and comments from people who have been playing the game saying they don't like the taxation system. Personally, I had no issue with the taxation system. I don't fully know how it works, but I'm assuming that the more infrastructure you have, then the more taxation you pay. For me, as long as you can simply keep producing more than you're paying, then you can progress through the game. As I mentioned, there are a number of maps you can play on. However, I'm not aware that whether each map and each terrain brings with it additional challenges. For example, building your factory on snow and ice doesn't seem to be any more difficult than building it in the desert. The process remains the same. The only thing that's changing is the landscape. It would have been nice if there had been challenges set for particular landscapes. For example, if you were building it in the snow and the ice, it would have been nice that you would require a heating system, for example, to gain maximum efficiency from the machinery. If you were building it in the desert, it would have been useful if there had been a limited water supply, for example, thereby making that particular map slightly more challenging. Something I'm hoping the developers might look at in the future will be adding additional machinery to change the way that you refine certain raw materials. For example, coal ore and iron ore could very well go through a refiner, whereas it would be good if gold went through a sluice and a shaker. And, for example, oil could go through a degasser and a desander. The end result would be the same. You still end up with a refined material, but it would be nice to see different machines, different animations. And it would add an additional challenge because these could be things that you would need to unlock, thereby increasing the size of the tech tree. I must say the developers of the game do appear to be fairly active on the various game forums, and they have asked game players to suggest what they would like to see in future updates, so I do have high hopes that the game will be improved over time. So in summary, I think it's a well-made game. It's good quality and it's pretty much bug-free, and it does give you enough gameplay to happily spend a good number of hours, which isn't bad for a game that costs around about £20. It does lack variety though, and it does get monotonous after a while, but I'm hoping this will be addressed in future updates once the developers have had a chance to go through the feedback from the gaming community. So overall, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Now, regular viewers of our channel will know that we don't normally do game reviews, but if you'd like to see more game reviews, simply leave a message down below in the comments box. Also, if you like this and you want to see other videos we've put together, subscribe and have a look back through our video list. Anyway, until next time chaps, cheerio, bye!